Reference 613, 694 units.
Between lanes 2 and 3. Takes us 120 miles an hour. Directly under the helicopter now. Still 130 southbound.
Collisions like this should never happen. But take your mind off the road for a split second, and it's all too often the result. The sheer quantity of accidents filmed by the police demonstrates that driver behaviour behind the wheel still leaves plenty of scope for improvement. Even a momentary lapse of concentration can have tragic consequences. Everyone seems so sure that they're the safest of drivers, yet human error is responsible for 95% of the accidents on our roads. So no matter how cautious we think we are, in reality safety is seldom our primary concern. This driver failed to adapt his driving to the weather conditions. He had a narrow escape. It's a wet, grey November morning. The slippery surface on this motorway should ring alarm bells with all motorists. But watch the middle lane. If stopping distances and speed requirements had been observed by these drivers, this accident might have been avoided. There's now the additional danger of a stationary car in the middle lane. Hampshire Police act promptly to try and move it, but extra help is needed. Delays for all drivers on this stretch of motorway are now inevitable. The police officer couldn't ignore this yellow Alfa Romeo and flamboyantly coloured motorbike when they sped onto the carriageway in front of him. Watch the clock at the bottom right-hand corner of the picture. These two vehicles are travelling way above the speed limit in their battle to discover whether two wheels are better than four. It's a busy road, and before long the pair are forced by other vehicles travelling at more realistic speeds to slow down, giving the police officer the opportunity to read and report the number plates. But that wasn't the end of the story.
The bike at the back is J. Juliet. Hotel Papa Juliet is the yellow Alpha. And the bike, which is now starting to go for it.
And go for it he did. When the motorcyclist sees the police car, he foolishly tries to get away. But as you'll hear, he did have a very good reason for not wanting to be caught. The patrol car has difficulty keeping a pace. The speed clock continues to rise.
I've lost sight of him as we're approaching Barking. He's not gone over the bridge now, he's going towards Barking itself, towards Barking. 104 over.
The Metropolitan Police found out later why the motorcyclist was so determined to get away. He was a driving instructor and certainly didn't want to be discovered driving recklessly.
He's getting away from me, obviously he's on a solo.
Oscar 105, can you shut your window? I can hardly hear you on your two phones, then.
Yeah, I'm on my own, it's a hands-free set, MP. He's gone left, round towards the back of Barking by the looks of it. Stand by, I'll be with you in just a second.
Towards the rear of Barking, turn centre, that's all it takes. Engine 99, all we've got is a large Japanese motorcycle on a J plate, MP.
It's multicoloured, I've got him again. We're now going towards the back of Barking Station, towards Longbridge Road. Very, very quick.
Unfortunately, this pursuit ended in the same way as many pursuits do.
Multicoloured, over. I'm now... Oh, he's off, he's come off, he's off. At the roundabout, down by Barking, where Barking and Longbridge Road meet. Can I have another unit, please? And and a garage sergeant for a vicinity only Pollack. Get against the wall!
The cyclist lost control, his licence and his job. The mobile phone is one of the more recent threats to road safety the police have to tackle. And although there's no doubt they can be useful if you break down or need to call for help, they are bound to distract you from your driving. Even if you can use your phone without taking your hands off the wheel, the only really safe way to talk is to find an appropriate place to stop. Because, as you're about to see, keeping mobile while you phone can only lead to trouble. When the South Yorkshire police first spotted this car, it was travelling in the middle lane of the motorway at 65 miles an hour. There's an animated telephone conversation going on, and the driver is paying scant attention to the road in front of him. It's little wonder then that he fails to notice his reduction in speed is beginning to cause problems for the drivers behind. Alerted by some erratic driving, police homed in on this car. By the time the driver realised he was being observed, it was too late. The driver of this Jeep was spotted by police using his mobile phone, and although he manages to negotiate the roundabout with reasonable success, eventually all roads hold dangers for those not paying attention. With his mind far from the road, he fails to spot a potential danger that we can see up ahead.
Oh, yes, well, that's good enough evidence. That's good enough evidence. That's without due care.
He may have escaped a crash, but not the police. He was penalised for driving without due care and attention. In their rearview mirror, West Mercia police noticed a van being driven erratically and turned their camera around to record it on video. The driver is certainly unaware of the camera, and with his attention diverted by writing in his order book, he's largely unaware of the road ahead. It's clearly dangerous and is an offence the police take extremely seriously. It cost this driver a £120 fine and 6 points on his licence. And don't try and sort out your route en route like this driver, as it will lead you into the arms of the law. Wear and tear on police patrol cars is inevitable, but thanks to their specialist teams of mechanics, you should never see a police vehicle on the roads in a state of disrepair. Driving an unroadworthy vehicle is illegal. It can also be life-threatening. And although that expression roadworthy is open to a degree of interpretation, the police felt that the student driving this car was definitely suffering from an overactive imagination. The Mini attracted the attention of police in Poole because they were concerned by its poor condition. Between the excessive rust, the wings flapping in the wind, the holes in the chassis and the defective lights, it was more a question of what was right with it rather than what was wrong with it. The Dorset police weren't surprised to learn that the owner of the car had paid just £5 for it. What did surprise them, however, was that they'd managed to drive it 75 miles from Bristol. There was no way the police were going to let them drive it back again. The students didn't get charged, but the car had to be scrapped there and then. But our impoverished scholars left happy. They got £10 more from the scrapyard than the £5 they'd paid for it. When the police first spotted this driver, travelling at over 50 miles an hour on the motorway, with his hand perpetually raised to the roof, they were concerned and curious. They decided to follow, and all soon became clear.
Somebody said that. Try. Can't even see now, look.
With sponges, chamois leather and ladders hanging over the car, it wouldn't take an aspiring Sherlock Holmes long to deduce the profession of these intrepid entrepreneurs driving their red Capri. What is more difficult to fathom is why a bucket had been so strategically placed as to obscure the driver's vision. This wide load was correctly secured and fitted with all proper hazard warnings. Its police escort was standing by to ensure a safe journey. In fact, every eventuality had been catered for. Or so they thought.
I want to see him get it too far over. Yeah, we won't be going anywhere with this load. He's just struck a boat taken out of the Avlo Bay and dislodged its load. Get it too far over.
And the Irish may be renowned for their dancing, but who'd have imagined the local plant machinery in Belfast also knew a jig or two? Technology may allow the police to see in the dark, but unfortunately our eyesight is not blessed with the same capabilities. Driving at night considerably reduces visibility, and reaction times to unexpected and unforeseen hazards is much shorter. So nighttime driving requires much greater alertness on the part of the driver and not complacency. And although the roads may seem emptier, your mistakes will not pass unnoticed, as this next driver discovered. When the police saw this car, they needed proof that their eyes weren't deceiving them. So it's just as well there are cameras operating all through the night on most of the M25. Not only is the driver travelling along the hard shoulder, but also in the wrong direction. And if that wasn't madness enough, when the driver was pulled over by the police, they discovered he was an unaccompanied learner driver. It may be an easy mistake to make, but it's one this man is unlikely ever to make again. He left his briefcase on the roof of his car at the beginning of his journey, and it chose the most inopportune moment to dislodge itself and spill the contents over the tarmac. Even if this driver had not been on a motorway slip road, a bend or junction is not the best place to stop, and getting out of the car and dodging across busy motorways in front of cars travelling at some speed is extremely foolish. He should have used the emergency telephone to call for police assistance. But the only thing on this driver's mind was retrieving his belongings. Is a handful of paperwork really worth risking your life for? Both these cars have overtaken the police patrol car at over 100 miles an hour, but that's still not fast enough for the red Renault. Watch the speed clock in the bottom right-hand corner. Having so dramatically attracted the police's attention, there was no avoiding a heavy fine. But it's not just high speeds that cause problems. At a halting and hesitating 27 miles an hour, this Metro's approach to the motorway is disconcerting and dangerous for other drivers. Once on the carriageway, nothing seems to have improved. Not content with the inside lane, the driver changes lanes without indicating, and still at a hazardously low speed. But however impatient another driver makes you feel, or how rushed you are, there is simply no excuse for trying to intimidate them. Unfortunately for the driver of this lorry, the car he got heavy with belonged to the Cheshire Police. Road rage has become the popular phrase used to describe aggressive behaviour on the roads. Here, keep your eyes on the middle lane. The pickup truck is trying to scare the driver in front into getting out of the way. But even when that car changes lane, the pickup is still trying to get his revenge.
In our next remarkable clip, two traffic policemen are out on patrol and notice that the car in front is being driven erratically. When they see that the driver isn't wearing a seatbelt, they decide they'll have a word. This proved to be more difficult than expected, but it's a classic example of how the evidence captured on police video cameras can prove crucial in the subsequent court case. Retracing their steps using this video and the police patrolman's commentary, they were able to identify and recover the items that were thrown from the car. Now, if you watch closely, you'll see that these include bags of drugs, handfuls of money, even a machete. But during the course of this pursuit, the police were threatened with something even more extraordinary.
MP from
Noise.
The operation to stop this fleeing car was carefully coordinated by senior officers at base, using the vital information radioed to them from the patrol car in pursuit. Crucial details about the vehicle, its speed and direction were passed on, as well as information about its occupants.
The vehicle is a black Austin Metro that's travelling towards Bushy Heath, Stanmore Hill. Two occupants, male IC1s.
991 Charlie is north of the speed and ERT.
The passenger near side door is open. Chasing, watch the door. Still chasing the vehicle northbound towards Bushy Heath, Stanmore Hill. It looks like they're trying to drop a dog out the near side door, over. So it's one of those things that bite you. It's one of those ones that bite you. Bull terrier. Not pit bull, it's no English. That's a pit bull. Still travelling towards Bushy Heath.
It seems that there were no lengths to which these criminals would not go to try and get the police off their tail. By threatening to throw the dog under the wheels of the police car, they were hoping to put them off. When this didn't work, they decided to get rid of all potentially incriminating evidence from the car.
He's dropping stuff out of the vehicle. I think he's just trying to put the driver off. There's a lot of debris coming out of the vehicle. The near side driver's door, near side passenger door is open. Just entering the roundabout with the A41. He's going straight across the roundabout towards the fisheries. Elstree Road towards the fisheries, towards Elstree.
The police didn't realise what was being thrown from the car until they'd reviewed the tape afterwards. What they thought was just debris jettisoned from the vehicle to put them off turned out to be far more incriminating.
Metro 1300. Wrong side of the road, nearly got caught by a bus. He's actually in the fisheries. Just going past the public house in the fisheries, overtaking on the wrong side, double white lines.
In pursuits like this, where reckless and dangerous driving is becoming a threat to others on the road, the police's main priority is to stop the car as quickly as possible. It often becomes more than a traffic matter and will involve other branches of the police service.
Go! Just past the panda car, coming the opposite way. It's coming up to the traffic lights with a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit. The lights are changing to red.
So you're heading north until?
Yeah, we're heading north. Straight across the red light, nearly hit a panda car. Get out of the way. Yeah, he's still carrying on north. He's going towards the Bournemouth area.
The longer the criminals continue to flee, the easier it becomes for the police coordinators to mobilise their forces, making an arrest inevitable. More and more police vehicles have joined in the pursuit, and gradually all potential escape routes for the fugitives are covered.
Passenger door open, he's still waving the dog at us. What's your brakes? He's doing a left into the field. He's in the field.
The villains may think they've got away across the field, but it's quickly surrounded. They were caught and were given a long prison sentence.
Dick here will soon be taking a break. So far today he's been on the road for almost 4.5 hours, and the law dictates that for a long-distance lorry driver, that's long enough, without a breather. As private motorists, you and I are restrained by nothing more than good sense. But with between 5 and 10% of road accidents having tiredness as a factor, then falling asleep at the wheel is a serious road safety issue. So next time you're on a long journey and you begin to feel tired, don't be tempted just to wind down the window, turn up the radio and chat to your passenger. Take a break, as this next driver should have done.
Watch out for the blue car up ahead in the overtaking lane. The driver momentarily loses control, but luckily manages to avoid a major accident. You can see the effect of this driver dozing if you watch the wheels of the car. And instead of waiting until they'd stopped, these drivers are about to pass a book from one car to another on the move. Even if it was a gripping read, these tempting shortcuts put others' lives at risk. What we can't see, but this van driver clearly can, is a cyclist just in front of him. So eager is the driver to get to his destination that he's prepared to pretend the cyclist isn't there. As we approach the zebra crossing and pull up for the woman to cross, keep your eye on the left of the screen.
Hello? Overtaking on the approach to a FedEx. Payment call precedence. Etc. Got the blues on, Ren. It's on. He's got no seat on, he's in a dead rush, yeah. Done it again. And again. Go on in, noise.
This time he narrowly misses an old lady. In the space of a minute he's committed the same offence twice. Is your time more valuable than someone else's life? This driver obviously thought his was. Unlike zebra crossings, pavements are the sole preserve of the pedestrian. This bus, however, has other ideas.
That's a bit naughty, isn't it? That's outrageous. That's really fucking talk to him then. Go on video.
Pavements are intended to provide a safe area for the person travelling on foot. It seems a particularly aggressive violation when hijacked by four wheels. There's certainly no disguising this blatant and potentially dangerous shortcut. Deciding to risk taking his go-kart out on the pavement, perhaps this Belfast driver felt camouflage gear would help him avoid detection. Unfortunately, it didn't. And finally, at first glance it appeared to be a routine breakdown. A car stopped on the hard shoulder next to an emergency telephone. The mystery began when the police checked and found that no calls for help had been made from the phone. They could see someone lying down in the passenger seat, but where had the driver gone?